What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Now, today we're going to be reviewing the film American Skin. This is going to be releasing digitally on all platforms January 15th, 2021. And this is a Nate Parker film, as he's written and directed this as a Spike Lee presentation. Now, I know when the trailer came out, it caught a lot of people's attention because of the current state of the world, and shit, not even just the current state of the world, but just the current state of society for many years. And when you're talking about police brutality, social injustice, and so on, something that's, myself, I live in, and Nate Parker is very passionate in his craft. And really displaying and being one of those, and being a social justice warrior and advocate. So, this film just goes right through all of his arts, his beliefs, and it's a really passionate film, I gotta say. Like, this is a super, I'll start by saying this. By me being an African American man, as you see, and one who been in situations like this film instantly drew an emotional connection to me. And it was really hard to not break tears in some of the scenes because of just how relatable it is. And for that, I really liked it. But as a critic, I thought it was really well done. So, going into this film, I think that what's important is that there's a movie that's happening here. There's a plot, has a full movie structure, shall I say, which is well done. But there's a message that's much more powerful than the film, that transcends beyond the film, that's much, much more important than any of the actions that take place in this film. I think it's truly about the message that is derived from this film. And I think, again, Nate Parker, who's just, one of the voices in the room at all times to speak about social injustice and just police brutality and all things for the African American culture, for equality and so on. Again, this just it's just a display of his work, and then really displaying the message for everybody, not just the viewers, but for the world. But again, this film, it does highlight police brutality because you do have Nate Parker who's playing the ex-military dad, who is pulled over along with his son. And his son is murdered on this stop. That's just the short premise of it. I really, if you look at the trailer, it absolutely displays what the film is about. But I just want to kind of spotlight some other things that's happening with this. Number one, I thought that really the spotlight on Black culture, I thought was really well done. I'm appreciative. There is little tidbits, and you can just say Easter eggs and so on. Really spotlighting the Black culture. So I thought that was cool. I also thought, as much as this is speaking about the issues that we deal with within the African American community, I thought it was really cool also that they was able to inject the issues about our militant and the troops and the issues that they face once they come back from war. As Omari Hardwick's character, who is also an ex-military soldier, who is Nate Parker's brother, and not by blood brothers, but brothers in service. And he spotlights some of the challenges that he really faced upon returning home from serving. So I thought that was really cool that they was able to highlight that as well. And I'm gonna get more about the different conversations that kind of happened within this film. But on that note too, I thought the performances up and down the board was just spectacular. Omari Hardwick was really good. Beau, Knapp, who plays Officer Randall, absolutely destroyed his role. A spectacular performance by him. And then Theo Rossi, who plays Officer Reyes, also does a really passionate and emotional job. And I think that these emotional performances that are happening in this film up and down the board are just good. Supporting characters, whatever it may be, and despite your beliefs upon going into this film, I want to be clear because, there's antagonists and there's protagonists. And I know that when it comes down to the protagonist, you think like the protagonist did a good job, but I hate the antagonist and you don't give them credit. I just want to just make it very clear, despite your beliefs in this film, both the protagonist and the antagonist both do really authentic and passionate jobs in their performances. And I definitely want to make sure that that's said, because it's really easy to get behind Nate Parker's character, because it's honestly it's what I believe in as well, to some degree of his decision making. But also, you know, when you talk about talking about equality in the African American community, I absolutely believe in that and stand for that. So like, it's easy to get behind his character, but then you just like, you know, when he's standing across a police officer who has committed the police brutality, you're just like, well, I don't like that guy. What he did was messed up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you actually kind of cloak the actor with the character. But I just want to say that the actor here, again, they killed their performances. So I just want to say, up and down the board, performances are really, really well done. And I will say this too, despite people either having lines or people just showing face, there's just so much emotion that you just see up and down the board, as you can just really tell how these situations really affect everybody. So just, you know, really, when it came down to the casting, it's a really, really good job. And then the script as well, I would definitely tip my hat off to. Now, Johnny Jefferson, who's the son here, who was murdered, by the police officer. I will say that I think it was maybe on purpose, but I think there's a resemblance to him to Trayvon Martin with him. So you know, and again, even with that being said, like, it just also triggers those emotions as well. But yeah, it's some of the really most passionate scenes of this, like the grieving scenes, are really, really difficult. I gave a lot of big exhales in this scene, because it was just really, it was tough to watch, but it needed to be done, and the messages needed to have been told. But yeah, you do, you know, along with the grieving, you do get a look into the eye of the family and the process with the justice system, you know, with the family who on side of the victim. So like, you know, going the idea of, you know, people wanting to interview them, having to go to court numerous times, not having hope, not having faith, just nowhere to turn, just being sick, you know, just trying to find your legs under you. You really get that put on display with this film. But like I said, it was a lot of big exhales for me while watching this film. But I tell you, 30 minutes of the film and it just kind of like lays the foundation. But like after that first 30 minutes, it just gets totally nuts. Like, to be honest, it's really like the John Q of police brutality, of so like how the events kind of play out and so on. So, you know, take that in consideration when you go into it, because like it gets crazy. Like, it really, really does. But at the same time too, just to kind of stay on par here, the level of desperation that happens in this film ultimately is for the greater good and the message to be told. So there's an amazing quote at the 37-minute mark. I had to write this in my notes because it was such an amazing quote. But it was again spoken by Nate Parker's character, and it says, "Why do we have to be peaceful? Why do we have to be the only people in the country who's expected to do things without violence?" As he spoke about himself in the African American community. I just thought that was a super powerful quote. And when you look at the context and when it was said, I'm telling you. And matter of fact, this film just has such good dialogue up and down the board. And a lot of good societal quotes, things that you're going to be able to take from this film and use in your daily lives. But I think that, you know, it really displayed a lot of the double standards in the justice system. And it just dropped a ton of knowledge for people's rights that they may not be aware of. So like at the same time too, this film is educating you in a way that you don't really understand that you are. I mean, you're not going to really like grasp the fact that you're being educated, because it's not beating you across the head. It's just relaying this knowledge to you in a way that you're going to digest, but at the same time be learning so easily. But as the film kind of progresses, it turns into like a social justice roundtable and really having those difficult conversations. And it really gives you different vantage points from like different ethnicities, sex, and professional background, in which I felt at this point too, the representation from the different parties was also really well done. It's like, it's again, a lot of good dialogue is happening in this film. But with that being said, that little segment alone is worth the watch, period. But I think my only knock I have with this film, and I'm not sure if this is actually going to be the case when it releases on January 15th, but there is a part where a person of Hispanic background speaks Spanish and there's no captions, and I'm really curious to know what he was saying, because it wasn't just the one liner. It was really in depth, as you had and because of the tone and because of when the conversation happened, I was very curious to know what was being said. I was able to pick up a few words, but that would literally be my only knock, is to wondering what was being said in Spanish, because it did not have caption. But anyway, the ending, I respected, and I also kind of rooted for up until like the very, very last part of the ending, where I just did not really see coming. But I will say that it will have folks having something to say about it. There's absolutely, without question, people will have something to say about the ending. But I have to say that the ending is not really about the movie or the plot. Again, it's about like the world and like the message that's being told here. So like, it doesn't give you that predictable / whatever type of ending you may be expecting. The ending is really driven about the message to take away from the film. So again, I genuinely appreciated that, and I'm just gonna say, like, these events, they just, some of the things that happen, it really strikes some pain and some hurt. So, you know, it's an emotional ride, but it's the movie and the message that need to be told, and I think that, you know, everyone needs to check this film out. I got to give it to Nate Parker on this one. This was a fantastic film, and January 15th, you can catch it on all digital platforms. This is American Skin, folks. Check it out. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and thank you so much for watching this review, and I'll see you all very soon. Big old bell.